So we've spent the entire semester, we've spent the last year, 2 years, 3 years, coming up with our idea, deciding if we want to go into a business. We've done all our research, and we've done it over and over. We second-guessed ourselves. We didn't know what a donut costs, what we think it might cost, who our customers are. We've set up our company, we've raised capital, we've put our own money in, and now we're ready to establish operations. So the good news is we've done a lot of the work, and we've put together a plan. We have a strategy, and we know where we're going. So within that, we can see that we take all of the parts of our business, and what we need to do, is, you'll read in the chapter, is you create a critical path. When do we start building our building? When do we start buying supplies? When do we start training? At what point should we have started raising capital? We can create a critical path of what we need along the way and when. And one of the important things is we need to put a time schedule to it, a timetable to it. We need to say, okay, if we have not raised capital by the 3rd month, then we go X, Y, and Z. We look into loans, or maybe we go to other investors, right? So from there, that triggers the next point. We've raised money, now we have to start building out our office space, or we might need to start building the legal forms of the business. But all of this homework is done, so really, as we hit these trigger points and critical paths, we realize what the next step is. And sometimes things don't always go to plan. With that, with Clear Collar, we said, hey, we're only going to try to raise capital for 3 months. That was the most ignorant and arrogant thinking that there was. It literally thought, after being asked to speak to an angel investing group, that, hey, we're going to present this idea and people are going to be throwing money to us on the stage. So we gave it 3 months after that. Nothing. 3 months after that, we got our first bit of money. And then by the end of the year, we finally were able to start operations. And even that, we couldn't start operations until we had the first $750,000 in the bank. So sometimes that critical path changes, but that allowed us to open the front doors. 3 months after we opened the doors, we ordered the molds so we could start developing the product. And the big piece was that is after we ordered the molds, we had another 3 to 6 months before they were delivered. So you start building all these paths out. The good news about the donut shop is once we're funded, once we pretty up our retail spot, we're ready to go. We just need to make donuts. So once we buy the ingredients, we're anywhere from an hour to 6 hours away from actually having donuts made. And while you establish your operations and you execute upon your plan, you continually do it. After you sell your first donut, after you sell your 1,000th donut, you take a look, who's my customer? What market am I playing in, right? What is my strategy? Has my strategy changed? Don't be reactive. Your strategy shouldn't change every year, but at the same time, you need to evaluate what's working, what's not. Go back to your strategy map and say, where are our value drivers working? Where are they not? Are we doing everything in our critical success factors? Maybe some of the things that we did that we thought were extraordinary have become ordinary. So we continue to evaluate to where we're at. And we're almost always executing and establishing our operations over and over and over again. So as we get running, we analyze what we're doing, no different when we knew nothing. From there, we evaluate, well, this is what it's worth to do. And then we execute. And then we analyze. So no different when we were just coming up with ideas where this is the 10th year of our donut company. We're going to continue this process over and over and over. And we see from some of the most successful companies, they do just that. Apple's the perfect example, right? They just announced another product, right? If somebody's watching this on a rerun right now, Apple probably just released another product and this lecture is still relevant because they've been doing it for 10 years. Actually 15 if you go back to the iPods. So we know that every September they continue this over and over. They change it a little bit, they change it a lot. They know when to change it a little and they know when to change it a lot. So in that, all of our work is done for establishing operations. So my main piece that I end on is execute it. Execute it and do it all over again. You're going to find that all of the assumptions we made and the research we've done, some of it will come true and some of it won't. Some of the things that you thought were going to happen no matter what may not, and some of the things that you never could have imagined happen will. So with that, you continuously analyze, evaluate, and execute. And then the entire end of this course is based on exit strategy. how do we get out of this? And I always found that that was really kind of an idiom of why are we going to get into something that we just can't wait to get out of in the first place, right? Especially going out to raise capital for Clear Collar, no different than what Avid Exchange did when their next round of fundraising or any of the other interviews we've heard. They go through and they build a solid business plan. When you look for investors, you're like, oh, our exit is we're going to do really great, we're going to grow, we're going to become multimillionaires, and then we're going to get the hell out of this business and we're going to all throw the money up in the air and grab it, right? My personal philosophy is while that's where we're headed, none of that ever becomes successful without a good plan and without execution. And a lot of people forget that they want to build a sustainable business. We want to find out where we become profitable. We want to figure out where we become break even. There's a great example of that I've talked about in classes right now, MoviePass. It was a bad business model. It was a great offering, $30, see as many movies as you want, and then they'd go buy the tickets for you. Sure, sign me up. Their whole model was built on fast growth, not profitability. So it's easy to lose money in that model. That model's worked in other areas. The model's worked with gyms, fitness centers. We all sign up in January and go for 2 weeks, and then we pay the monthly fee every single month and never go again. They're very good at that. Movie buyers were different. They didn't know their market, they didn't know their customer, and they didn't know their finances at all. But they were trying to sell something else because they were looking for what's happening in our tech industry right now, is that exit. Oh, we've got 10 million users, 100 million users. Yeah, 100 million users that you're all losing money on, right? On the flip side, we can take a look at Amazon, who lost money for their first 10 or 15 years. Who would invest in a company that loses money for 10 or 15 years? But they knew where they were going, and they knew what they were in for the long term. And the other piece was they weren't looking for their exit. They were looking for their long-term sustainable business.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/NexagyEducation or visit CasmerWard.com to catch up on previous episodes.